Back on the Frisco RoughRiders pregame show. RoughRiders playing a game of baseball today with some added significance. For the first time, the RoughRiders commemorating Mike Coolbaugh Day here at Dr Pepper Ballpark. Mike Coolbaugh, a father, a friend, a player, and a coach who on July 22nd, 2007, just over 7 years ago now, was struck by a line drive and killed while coaching at first base for the Tulsa Drillers. Tulsa, of course, a team in the Texas League. In the aftermath of that tragedy, we are left with a legacy that we commemorate here today with Mike Coolbaugh Day, part of a week-long event in the Texas League. Joining us on the RoughRiders pregame show today is James Vilade. You, of course, know James as a coach for the Frisco RoughRiders, and he's also a member of the board of directors for Diamond Dreams, which is a not-for-profit organization created in memoriam of Mike Coolbaugh. Now, James, I know that you never knew Mike personally, but you do know his brother and his brother's wife. Tell me how you initially got involved in Diamond Dreams.
Well, my initial involvement in Diamond Dreams came in 2007. I was serving as Scott Coolbaugh's assistant here in Frisco with the RoughRiders, and on the 22nd in 2007, Mike was struck and killed by a line drive and left a pretty big void in the game of baseball, and obviously some big challenges ahead for the Coolbaugh family. Scott and Susan Coolbaugh had approached me, talking to me about their dream of starting a foundation to honor Mike's life and his legacy and also promote safety in the game of baseball. And I made a promise to Scott and Susan that I would help them with the organization, and it's a promise that I'm going to keep. And a day like today is proof what the love for Mike has done for the game, what the love for Mike has done for Scott and Susan Coolbaugh, and today is a real special day.
Now, you, of course, know Scott, Mike's brother. Scott is a coach in the Rangers farm system, but why do you think he and his wife approached you to be a part of this?
I think when I worked for Scott, he and I had a great working relationship, and it turned into a great friendship. And I had some experience with some nonprofits, with the Boys and Girls Club and some other charities that I had worked with, and had a not a long background in nonprofits, but enough of a background that I thought I could help. So when they asked, I was happy to do it and proud to be a part of the cause.
The objectives of Diamond Dreams, to my understanding, is twofold, and one of the big points is promoting safety in the game of baseball. What are some things that Diamond Dreams has done to change the way the game is played from a safety perspective?
The biggest thing for us is the encouragement of people to coach in helmets, first base and third base. Major League Baseball, college baseball has adopted that. We really wish that high school baseball would go to it. It's not an expensive safety measure, but it is something that's going to keep the coaches. It's going to keep them a lot safer, and it also builds some confidence for the coaches out there, because things happen fast, and we'd love to see helmets on all the high school coaches. But one thing we do is we address safety with facilities, whether it's batting cages or different high schools that may have a need to basically keep their players safe. In Grapevine, Texas, the same year that Mike was killed, Chris Gavora was killed in the batting cage over at Grapevine High School, and that was one of our big projects in constructing a safe batting cage over at Grapevine High School. So not only are we're promoting safety on the field, we're promoting safety from a standpoint of the players in hitting facilities, etc. But also, one of our main objectives is to help people who have suffered a loss in the game of baseball, because the Coolbaugh family had suffered a great loss July 22nd, 2007, and we want to be there for families that are feeling similar pain to what the Coolbaughs felt 7 years ago.
James, we see you every night in the first base coach's box, of course, wearing a helmet, which is one of the major changes that Diamond Dreams has helped enact on Mike Coolbaugh's behalf. What do you think when you jog down the first base line before every game, before every inning?
The priority is safety. To be on your toes, to be alert at all times, to never take your eye off the ball, to be at a point where you can coach and help manage the game, but also put yourself in the best possible situation to be safe. And that is my first thought. The foundation is something I deal with on a daily basis, and Mike's always on my mind and in my heart, and it's one of those realities that you go out there and you have to deal with it. You got to face it. Unfortunately, bad things can happen in this game, but we want to keep everybody as safe as possible.
And you dealt with a close call yourself as a coach in a coach's box on the field of play. Did that do anything to change perhaps your involvement or your willingness to get involved in this?
Well, I mean, for me, I did. I suffered a broken jaw coaching third base in a collegiate game, and it was an eye-opener. I mean, it really was. And for me, it hit home with Mike. It hit home with my injury, breaking my jaw and sustaining some pretty serious injuries on the field myself. It really opened my eyes to what needs to happen on the field.
Looking at the Diamond Dreams website, I see there's a lot of scholarships, a lot of grants that are given. Can you expand on what things Diamond Dreams does to give back to the baseball community?
Well, one of our main priorities is we wanted to be a part of things that Mike himself would have interest in. And one of the biggest things we do is we have an annual scholarship at Roosevelt High School in San Antonio, where Mike played high school baseball. Mike was a graduate of. And we honor a baseball player every year with a scholarship. We awarded our 4th scholarship this year, so it's been going really well. But also in the community, if there's a need for any kind of player that suffered loss or having hard financial times, we try to step in and make baseball doable for some kids that might not be able to do it.
And you also recognize members of the baseball community that almost work with you and help your cause as well. Guys like Jamie Newberg and Chris Davis have been recognized by your organization as well.
Absolutely. That's one of our biggest events of the year. It's called our Keeper of the Game Award. Chris and Jill Davis won it the first year. And I always tease Chris because I said when you win the award, big things happen. And then the next year he goes out and hits 50-some-odd home runs. So he bought into that award real quick, but we're thankful for Chris. I had a chance to coach Chris here in 2007, and so did Scott, so we've got a great relationship with him. Jamie Newberg, he's a champion. I mean, he's got a heart for the community, he's got a heart for baseball, and he brings it together like nobody I've ever seen. So that would be the best way to describe Jamie. He's a true champion. He's a winner. He's done some great things for our foundation and other foundations as well. And this year we're about to unveil our winner here in a press release pretty quick, but we actually have a local man who's made a big difference in our community. We're going to be releasing that probably next week.
James Vilade, RoughRiders assistant coach and a member of the board of directors for Diamond Dreams, with us on the RoughRiders pregame show. For all the things that Diamond Dreams has done over the course of the last 7 years, this is the first Mike Coolbaugh Day, first year with this week-long event throughout the Texas League. Can you talk about how this event in specifics got off the ground?
Well, I had approached Scott and Susan Coolbaugh early fall, and I said, this will be the 7th anniversary of Mike's passing, and I think it's time for us to step forward and do something really special and reach out beyond where we've been. We've been mostly a local charity. We want to kind of break the borders down and have impacts everywhere else. So we wrote a proposal to the Texas League, gave it to President Kaiser. They voted on it in the winter meetings, and they approved that every Texas League affiliate would host a Mike Coolbaugh Day. So starting last Saturday in Tulsa, we have had events at every ballpark leading up to tonight here in Frisco. There's also going to be one in Arkansas tonight and one in Corpus, and that's going to wrap up honoring Mike Coolbaugh. So it came to pass because one of the big things that Scott wanted to do was Scott didn't want anybody to forget who Mike was and the impact he had on the game and who he was as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as a grandson. I mean, he was a great person who stood for everything that we'd want to stand for in the game. And so for us to have Mike Coolbaugh Day, that honors somebody who has not only played in the Texas League but served the league as a coach, tragically lost his life on the field. But we felt it really important to introduce Mike Coolbaugh to those who never met him, but also bring him back to the people that love him most.
When we talked yesterday, you said that July 22nd, of course, the anniversary of his passing, is really the toughest day. You didn't know Mike. Why is that day so tough for you?
For me, working with Scott Coolbaugh and the friendship that we've bonded with over the last several years, when it happened, to see the pain in Scott's eyes, to see what he had to deal with losing a brother. I've got 2 brothers myself, and I couldn't imagine. And to see a man have to go through that was difficult. Always will be.
Can you boil everything about this week down to one prevailing emotion? I know that there are moments when I can imagine this week is very difficult, but there are also times like tonight with Mike Coolbaugh Day that I can imagine that you must feel very proud about the legacy and how you continue to maintain Mike's legacy. So what is the underlying emotion that you think you take away from this week?
I think it's family. I mean, I really do. I think that baseball is one big family. We're competitors on the field. We're brothers off the field. But I think it's family. And as Susan Coolbaugh says, baseball takes care of their own. And we have a very special fraternity here in baseball. The Coolbaughs realize that, and they're thankful for the Texas League and President Kaiser and him really putting the blessing on Mike Coolbaugh Day. But it's about family.
And of course, one of the most tangible elements of Mike Coolbaugh Day tonight are the purple bracelets that RoughRiders staff, coaches, players are all wearing, including the two of us right here. What is the symbolism behind the bracelet, do you think, and what will be running through your thoughts and your mind when you see the players standing out on the field for the ceremony tonight, all wearing the purple Mike Coolbaugh bracelets?
I think for me, it's believing in Diamond Dreams and what we're doing and honoring Mike Coolbaugh, somebody that deserves to be honored and somebody that we hope all the players out here on the field can play like him.
You've just taken another step forward in implementing Diamond Dreams in Mike's legacy. Where do you think Diamond Dreams goes from here?
I think for us, coast to coast, I think getting the message of baseball safety, it's not a regional thing, it's not a Texas thing. It's for everybody. But I think the next big push for us is to possibly try to push through some legislation to have high school coaches wearing helmets. I think that would be a big step. Also expanding our scholarship opportunities, giving kids a chance to go to college and compete playing baseball, but also helping kids in need. I mean, that's one of our big things. We don't want anybody to not be able to play because they can't afford it or they're going through a tough time. Diamond Dreams is here for them, and we're proud of that.
Well, Jimmy, you do so much for the RoughRiders, both on and off the diamond. We're so happy to see one of your great ideas come to fruition tonight, albeit in the memory of Mike Coolbaugh, and we certainly look forward to continuing to promote his legacy going forward. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you so much, and thanks to the RoughRiders front office, Scott Sanju and all the guys. They've really made this day possible from a standpoint of operations and the event, and this is my 5th year in Frisco. It's first class. Just love being here and really appreciate and thankful for the guys and gals.
James Vilade with us on the RoughRiders pregame show as we celebrate Mike Coolbaugh Day here at Dr Pepper Ballpark. Back in a moment on the RoughRiders Baseball Network.